Meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How about a roll call?
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
Horner,
Here.
Dennis,
Here.
McPhail,
Here.
and Lois Tiley.
Here.
Thank you for all coming tonight. Can we get an approval of the agenda with addition?
Yep, I do have one adjustment for you, Mr. President. Letter H under new business, the Emergency Services Team Mutual Aid Agreement with the City of Saginaw.
Are you tucking it in that?
On the back. H, right at the
Just,
end.
yep, right at the end.
On the back of the agenda.
Oh, it's two sides.
Yeah, it's two sided. Up at the bottom. H.
Any other adjustments? Accept the agenda. Announcements and public comments. Anybody got something to share?
I'll go then.
Please step up to the podium.
All right. Kyle Harris, County Commissioner. So I just wanted to come and say hi. I don't think I've been here since the new board's been elected, so congratulations to you. I do have some handouts here. Just want to give a little update, what's going on at the county. That was just an update kind of from the county, usually created and given out at the state of the county, but we have extras and I think it's important that all the citizens see them. Just kind of gives an overview, some of the county highlights, as well as on the back side, gives you kind of the revenue income and the revenue outgoing. So it gives you a pretty good idea. Just a couple of things on there that I would like to at least bring to your guys' attention. The big thing, the animal control facilities, the millage passed last November. It's been brought to the board's attention that earlier this year that now the site that they told you that they wanted to continue building on is no longer feasible. So they want to go out and look for a new site to build a new animal control facility. They have no really good idea just yet. There's at least one of 11 properties, or looking at 11 different properties to get an idea what would be the most feasible. But some of these properties can get quite expensive. I think upwards of $1 million for some of these properties. And they're looking outwards, Bay Road, Tittabawassee, anywhere like that. A few properties inside the city.
We've got some properties in St. Charles.
You know, I even, yes, I agree. I even mentioned 46 and 52 where the county owns about 200 acres. But they said that wasn't feasible. You know, you gotta,
You know, there is a lot of territory south of Saginaw.
yes, absolutely. And that's, right now it kind of seems to be a struggle of, they seem to think it already takes a lot to provide services this part of the county. So I asked them, why would you then take it further out from the south end of the county?
Yes.
At least in the city, you know, I don't like it there either, but it's a little bit more centrally located than running it right up out into, you know, Kochville, Saginaw Township. But when it came to it, I did vote against looking at other properties. I think it's a bit hogwash that they're bringing that up now. That should have been something they brought prior to the elections and the passing of the millage. I think they knew darn well what they were doing. I think they knew that that property wasn't feasible. And I think it was after they got the money that then they decided they're gonna go out and spend it. So right now what it would be is they would have to borrow money from the county to go out and buy the property, and then when the millage kicks in, take money and pay the county back. I think it's a little bit of bait and switch in my personal opinion. But there was 10 other commissioners who voted yes on it, so it went through, so there goes another $70,000 of your hard-earned tax money. The health center, I know that's might be a bigger issue out here, at least in the southern part of the county. I have been working with Chesaning Township a little bit. We approached SVSU to see if they would be willing to partner with health clinics out here. Predominantly, we asked them because we already know they partner with Bay County and provide health services out in the rural areas. But SVSU came back and said that it's really not feasible for them because wouldn't be partnering directly with the health department. Then you'll see on there that the health department is looking at partnering with CMU. I don't have a whole lot of details on that because I just heard about it Saturday. And wasn't given many details, just that they're looking at partnering with CMU to do something. I don't know, does anybody have any questions? I'm trying to think anything relevant up here to this part. Road Commission, in January we did appoint Dave Adams to the County Road Commission. So at least someone from out here. So it came down out of 11 candidates that were interested, it came down between Dave and a gentleman from the city of Saginaw. So most of the commissioners who have outlying areas voted for Dave, while the commissioners who had city areas voted for this gentleman from the city. But in the short of it, County Road Commission doesn't do any business inside the city of Saginaw unless it's contractual basis. So why would we put someone from the city on that commission? That's my thinking of it. So I don't know if anybody has any questions while I'm here. Anybody from the audience? So, all right, well, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Are there any other comments or anything? Okay, we'll move on. Minutes of the previous council meeting. Any questions on that? Apparently not. Okay, you hear a motion to accept them and file?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Commission and committee reports, planning commission minutes. Anything on that, Matt, that's significant that needs to be discussed?
I don't think so.
Matt, what about that property over there on Flint Street? They were supposed to be ticketed a couple of months ago.
Yeah, they were ticketed, they went to court and lost. So they have
So long
30
to clear
days
through.
from someday last week. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
That case was actually postponed a couple times because of the water main breaks at the courthouse.
Oh.
Literally, the case was up on the one day that the water main break happened. It was rescheduled for the next day, and then another water main break happened, so it finally was adjudicated last week, and they got, I think, 30 days to get it taken care of.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh. Do we have to file, or we have to accept that?
Yeah, you accept them.
Yeah. Motion to accept planning commission minutes from February 21.
I make a motion, we accept.
Second,
I'll second.
been made and seconded, accept the minutes of the planning commission February 21. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Communications, everybody look through the review magazine?
I have a question on page 7, and I circled it, that SB 1116, is that where you're applying then for money for our roads?
Yes.
So that's, okay.
Yep. Category B, economic development funds.
Any other comments on the magazine? Letter from the St. Charles Health Center. Any discussion on that?
Just that I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
But I see their,
if you-
Teaming up with the library to keep the blood pressure,
They're gonna keep the blood pressure stuff going there, yeah.
but they're asking for no money.
Yeah, they sent us an invoice and it says, don't pay us.
It does, and I think when you look, is this their balance sheet? I mean, this is what they have left
I think so.
on the bottom. I mean,
It's not bad.
it's not bad, yeah.
But I think we have $2,000 in the budget, don't we, for that?
I think it's either 23 or 3,200, something to that effect.
Well, I think we should just, my personal opinion is wait and see.
Yeah,
If they come up with something that needs some money, we could be there for them.
yeah, there's a little bit of an intricacy to how we give them money though. They have to technically invoice us for a service, or we can't make a donation, we can pay for a service. So if they don't invoice us for anything, we won't be able to send them any money, unfortunately.
Okay.
So if they have anything to invoice us for.
That's because why?
That's because, we're not allowed to use public money to make donations. You can only give money to an organization that the local unit of government, that when they're providing a service that the local unit could have done themselves. So basically, we're treating them as a contractor to provide health services to the community. That's why we receive an invoice each year. It's like a loophole around it.
Right, I understand that part, but I thought. Thought we rounded it up.
We did, we rounded it up. I wanna say, they invoice us and then we round it up
Okay,
by a lot.
yeah. Okay, thought I was losing my mind, okay.
Any other discussion on the letter from the health center? Moving on to the payment of claims.
I like the salary
Yes.
report.
No, I didn't, I
like the
actually didn't
salary
have a
report.
question.
That was cool.
I thought,
Cool.
I wanna know, are we getting a lot more interest than we used to?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the Federal Reserve bumped up interest rates.
yeah,
So it's one of those double-edged swords though, so if you go out and get a mortgage, you'll have a higher interest rate too, but
right, but if we just keep moving it around, we can get the higher rates as
yes.
they go
Yeah,
up.
we've been seeing that. It used to be like below 1%, now we're getting
Right.
over 1% and sometimes up in 2.
Over here, you can get 3.
So as they mature, Marguerite has been shopping around for
Okay.
the best
Tell her not to
rates.
forget Mercantile, I see they do a 2-year 3.
I changed my mind. On page 5, the Stevens tile, was that just for tile or was that work also?
No, that was just supplies.
Supplies,
Yeah,
okay.
in this building floods, so they built a drain tile inside the garage with a sump pump.
Oh, okay.
Because we came in one Sunday and there was like 3 inches of water in the back hallway. So we went ahead and just, I think it was $240.
Yeah,
We did a quick job and so now it actually, today was the test day because it was raining and thawing at the same time. No water. So,
that's right. If there are no other questions, I make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $91,179.17.
Support for the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New business. Truth and Taxation Public Hearing for fiscal year of 2019 to 2020. Man,
so basically, council just votes to open the public hearing and then closes it. Nobody has anything to say, so if you want to open it.
I think it'd be a good idea.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing for the Truth and Taxation is now open.
So that's the
Anybody
opportunity.
got any questions? I believe they got copies of the budget out there, didn't they?
We don't have copies here, but it's been available.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, if you brought one, we're open for questions.
So our questions would come later, right?
Yeah.
After the, okay.
Well, truth and taxation,
Is
it's
it
not, it's
misnomer?
not the budget.
Right.
No, really, it's kind of a combination of things. It's really the millage rate, which is 15 mils, and it's kind of encompassing all of it, so.
Maybe for everybody's information, we're not raising taxes, okay?
It's the same as it's been for the last couple of years.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Support?
Lois seconded.
All
Lois
those-
seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed.
I noticed a couple typos and a couple numbers sequencing, you know how I am. On the first page of your letter,
Mhm.
just prioritize an S needs to go out. And on the second page, you need to put a D in outlined. I mean, I don't know, those are just minor. The thing that really bothered me was, where we get to the resolutions, it should, I think the last two pages should be 19-6 instead of 18-6. You look at the last two pages. And I don't, because it is an official document, I don't know how you wanna handle that.
Well, we can change it, and when you approve it as with changes.
The changes.
Mhm. And then we can always, if you want, we can reprint it, or you can cross it out, that's up to you.
Well, from my point, I know it, but I just, if it's gonna go anyplace else.
Well, we'll put it on the website and stuff, but we can change that before we do it, and then the official copy will change and it's available.
Okay.
Right on the first page.
Oh.
Yeah, they do, but not on the
Well,
other
up
one.
at the top here.
If you have any questions, speak up.
And so the first thing we do each year is we amend the current year's budget to kind of level things out to where we think it's gonna end up. So that's what the resolution 19-4 does for us. Basically, we kind of projected some things we think might happen by the end of the year, and we just try to make the best guess of what's gonna happen in the next couple weeks before the end of the fiscal year. That's what resolution 19-4 is for.
Do you think local streets went up because of the storms?
In terms of expenses,
Yeah.
no, they went up because of equipment rental. There's a little bit more equipment rental.
Okay, so you actually transfer the equipment rental, you don't stop when you've reached what you budgeted? Okay.
Not in streets. In major streets, we have to charge the Schedule C rates for actual work done, because MDOT wants us to track everything like that. So. And last year, what we actually did is major streets couldn't afford, so we put everything in, or local streets couldn't afford the equipment rental, so we put everything in major. But this year, we were able to finagle some stuff and we put it back. Because we found out we could actually transfer more of the Act 51 money from major streets than we used to be able to.
Right, that's what you had said.
So we were able to kind of line everything up the way
Because
it
it was
needs to be.
just 25%, wasn't it?
It was 25%, but we found out it's 50% now. We used to think you had to have an asset management plan for that. That's what MDOT used to tell us. But somebody actually read through the law and changed their mind, I guess.
Okay.
So.
On page 2, Matt, under village council, on community promotion, it seems like we, not so long ago, had about 4,000 and that was plenty. Do you think we need the 7,000? Or what makes it go up so much?
It goes up based on, the things that we've been spending in there, so a lot of it is Christmas lights that we've been replacing year over year. And we've kind of beefed it up just because there are some things that might be coming along that
Okay.
council might want to spend money on. I think that was something that was talked about a couple years ago, was
Yeah.
maybe adding a little bit more, so we bumped it up to 7,000.
And do they buy the LED lights then, the Christmas lights?
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the environmental cleanup, do you think that's what it's gonna cost?
Well, we don't know what it's gonna cost, but that's a conservative estimate.
Okay, and we still haven't heard anything.
Yeah, the last I heard from them was they were getting to a point where they were gonna prepare bid documents for us.
I think
Do we
somebody,
know-
I think somebody really needs to sit on them and move them and tell them if they're not gonna move, then we find somebody else to do it, because we've waited way too long for this.
Well, we're almost at the end, so we're working on them. We contact them frequently.
Do we know what they're gonna do?
It's in their report, so they're submitting the final, they have submitted their final report to the state, and they're creating bid documents. We'll look at all this stuff before anything happens.
Okay, is this the environmental firm that's doing that, or the state of Michigan?
The environmental firm is doing it.
Okay, and is it what they thought they were gonna do in the first place, or have they had to change it?
It's a dig and haul, yeah, is what they,
That's what they were gonna do in the first place?
yes.
So we were waiting on those people and not the state?
Well, it's a mix. We were waiting on them to finish the report, then we were waiting on the state to make comments on the report before they finalized it. Because they didn't want to finalize the report unless the state was gonna approve what they said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they've been going back and forth.
They've been going back and forth, yeah.
Do we need to get that done this summer? I mean,
Mhm.
it just needs to happen. I'm sorry I interrupted you, I didn't know what you were saying.
Any further questions?
I see you broke the wages out even more than usual. The wages are broken out even more than usual.
What do you mean?
Well, you've got how much health insurance we're paying for like the chief and the full-time officer 1 and full-time officer 2.
Yeah.
It wasn't broken out like that before.
I broke it out like that last year because it was easier for us to calculate
You must not
things.
have looked at it last year.
Yeah, I did it last year too, yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to do it with them because they're all in the same place.
But the other people aren't like that, right?
No,
You
it's,
can't do it.
you can't, there's no way to do it in it with anybody. It's only
Them.
easy for them because they're 100% in the same spot.
You changed everything we told you to change?
Hmm?
You changed everything we told you to change, right? Asked you to change?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's a 2% increase across the
Yep,
board.
everything's 2%.
Okay,
You're happy, huh?
I am.
No, I mean, I'm looking at Jenny.
Oh. Look at Don.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look at John. Yeah.
Yeah, look, John. There, that's better.
Well, we got everybody.
Oh. Are we all satisfied? Well,
Yeah, the adjustments, I see you adjusted down, which doesn't really matter, but,
Yeah, we adjusted most things
Um,
down. The only thing up, I think, was local streets
Yeah.
that you noticed, and that was easy enough to cover. And
yeah, usually, yeah. It's, so I make a motion, we approve resolution 19-4 to amend the 2018-19 fiscal year budget.
I'll
support.
I'll support.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley.
Yes.
Any nays? Apparently not.
And so resolution.
Motion to
Yep,
accept.
sorry. So resolution 19-5 is the next budget, so that's what the document is yourself. And the actual budget legally is the resolution, the budget document itself is just the guide for the budget, so. So we have to approve the resolution in order for the next year's budget to be, able to go into effect.
So these are the two pages that need to get changed, Jenny, on the top to 19-5, because that's what they're, it's page 2 and
Yep.
3 of that, okay?
And that's my fault, I did this.
It's a typographical error, I just
No,
always
it's
like
not,
that.
it's a
But-
copy.
But,
They
but,
copied last year's and they filled in
yeah,
the blanks,
but I
and
just
that's what
like it,
happens.
I just like it to be
That's how you do
accurate,
budgets.
It is, it's how you do
That's
it.
the dirty little secret.
Because if we're gonna, if we have to send it someplace, I just want that to be,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep, we'll change that.
Yeah, There's no discussion on this, really.
Well, if they have any questions on the budget, there is.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. Are there any questions on the budget? Yeah, this is a little different.
Oh, yeah. I make a motion, we adopt resolution 19-5 with amendment, with changes to the numbers for the General Appropriations Act to adopt the 2019-20 fiscal year budget.
And I'll support.
Support. Roll call.
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley.
Yes.
Don't leave until you sign these.
Thank you.
Motion, or the resolution is adopted. That should take care of the budget, right?
April 1st, that one will kick in April 1st, and we'll start over.
I think you do a good job with the money. You know, we say that publicly, he really does a good job moving those figures around.
He sure does.
Thank you.
It's a tremendous job, it really is.
I think they're saying you're a number hustler.
Well,
We even like your 101 training on this.
yeah, it's a team effort for sure, but thank you.
It is, but if anything goes wrong, it's your fault.
That's true,
Yep.
that's true.
Turn page. Okay, capital improvement plan fiscal year 2019 to 2020 and 2024, or 2024 to 2025.
On the first page, we did approve that on the 21st, that should probably get in there.
Yeah, I didn't, this is just a draft, so if it's approved tonight, what I'll do is I'll
Put that in there.
fix everything and make it, and print it out for you guys for the next meeting.
I think I need to explain to everybody that we, you know, the planning commission doesn't really deal with the figures, you know, the figures came from that, you know, with the money back in there, so we just look at the language and the rest of it.
Yeah, so this is, the capital improvement program is actually a two-step process, just for those who don't know. It starts actually at the planning commission, and the planning commission takes a look at basically a big wish list of big money projects. And then they kind of determine if it fits in with the master plan and the way that the community is going, and they review it, and then they kind of approve it at their level and send it to council for final approval. And the way it kind of fits in with the budget is some things are included in the budget and some things may not be, but we kind of put it on our radar for future use. So like you'll see in there maybe $1 million project in the next, 4 or 5 years. That doesn't mean that that's gonna actually happen, it just means that we know that there's gonna be something that we'll need to do on that project at some point. And, you know, some of the numbers are high, you stick them in there as placeholders, and this is required every year, so every year we kind of project out 6 years in advance. So next year we'll do another one for 6 years, and after that another one for 6 years. And this is legally required under the Planning Enabling Act, so that's the act that gives the Planning Commission its power. So it's something that we have to do every year, and keep it rolling every year after that. So, and last year was the first year we did it in a little while, and so this year is our kind of our follow-up, and we're doing it on time this time. It should be done each year with the budget, not as part of the budget, but sort of at the same time. So that's why you see this, and this is what we came up with.
Did you look at the numbers?
I did, so when you look at CIP projected annual allocation, page 7,
Yes.
is that where you're saying how much we're going to spend over the next 6 years?
Yes.
So why do we only have $30,000 in the majors? What are you gonna do with $30,000? Is this something other than construction?
Well, let me see. And that's where the matrix comes in, because it identifies all those projects.
Where's that?
It's the last two pages together. The first one is the general fund, and then the second one breaks it out by the other funds. So that $30,000 looks like it's, it looks like it's a tree removal project.
Oh, we're not gonna do any paving?
Not this year. We don't have a good enough handle on what needs to be paved.
Well, I understand that, but over the next, they don't care that we don't put down over the next 5 years that we're not gonna do any paving.
No, so next year when we have our asset management plan in place and we have all those numbers together and those projected costs, then we'll plug everything in there next
Okay,
year.
because we're gathering money now.
Yeah, we're gathering money now, and we're gathering the information we need to set that in place. So every year when we update, some things may
Okay,
fall
you
off.
can just change
so-
it and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Who sees these?
Us.
Just us.
It's public.
Okay. We don't have to send these to the state.
Unless they request it for something.
Okay.
We might need to send it to the DNR if they wanna look at, to see if our park equipment's in here. Or
Okay,
if-
so 2,000.
MDOT may request it at some point, just to look at what we've got going, but, we have had no projects, and we're planning projects, but we don't know the numbers at the moment. So, next year when we do this, we may have, $10 million more worth of stuff to put in here.
No, okay. The tops aren't, these things aren't filled out on the last page, so I'm not sure what year I'm talking about.
Okay.
The SAW grant was 55, water fund, $1 million. What? Estimated cost, $1 million
Mhm.
next year?
No, it adds up over, so the.
Oh, you're gonna spend 250 and 4, okay.
Yeah, so
You see that, but that-
after 2
Yeah,
years.
Yeah, I know, but if you look over where the years are on the first page.
Well, I know, but how are we gonna just do a little bit each year if we're gonna do a bond?
I
There's
know.
no bond here.
But
I mean, what are our plans?
we discussed in the planning commission the fact that we don't have plans right now because we're waiting for that asset management plan to
Yes.
come in. So when that comes in, now am I correct? I mean, that's what we
Yeah.
talked about, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't meant to have a structured plan in place. This is meant to put placeholders as a wish list.
Okay, so you're still planning on doing a bond issue for water?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's gonna be based on the information we receive through the asset
From the
management.
stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. This is almost, think of it as like a wish list
okay.
of items that we may think about doing, and we can add to it or subtract from it at, each year. as we
Undo
go
it,
through
do it.
Yeah, these numbers, it's important to understand, are not connected to any sort of obligation whatsoever.
Okay, oh, it's similar, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a worksheet.
It literally is just a
Long-range
worksheet.
plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we anticipate in the next 2 years that eventually we will start putting $250,000 a year into the ground and water assets. Now, that will probably be paid for bonds, but each year we won't be able to do the whole system. We'll have to do it in chunks. So we'll receive bonds, and then we'll do most likely $250,000 one year, because that'll take up the whole construction season, and then $250,000 next year, and then $250,000 next year.
Really? You wouldn't do just one big bond?
I mean, we could do one big bond, but we would allocate the money over time. So we would get bond
Right.
proceeds, put it in fund balance, and then do manageable projects for.
I don't think you wanna do a whole bunch of little bonds.
No, not little bonds.
250 is a little bond.
Right, you do a big bond
Yep,
and then do
yep, I know.
projects
I'm
over
just trying to
time. Yeah.
get the other people to
And draw
understand
from-
that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, people probably wouldn't buy small bonds
No.
because there's no money in them.
No, you gotta do a large
Yeah.
project. Okay.
Any other questions? Do we even have to accept this, or we do?
You do, you have to approve it for this year, yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the capital improvement plan?
I'll make a motion.
I can't second it, so.
I will.
You can't?
I will second it.
I don't feel comfortable doing it, she Kylie did, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is the approval to apply for a recreation passport grant, resolution 19.
My only question is, do we have to do all these by resolution, or can't we just vote on this stuff?
Some of this stuff, this in particular, and the, like the grant stuff is pretty, required by the agencies we're applying for money from, so. Yeah, I know there's a lot of resolutions on here, but it is, it's a reflection of the requirements, or the hoops, I guess, we're trying to jump through to get money, so.
It's also the last.
We're trying to
meeting we're
please
having
them.
this year.
That's true, it is also the last possible meeting that we could do this at, yeah. So, resolution 19-3, and I know it's out of order because we were working on the grant before we were doing this other stuff, is basically allowing us to apply for money from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for our handicap accessible play structure. And in it, we had to identify at least 25% match money, which we pretty easily got, just through the money we've received thus far for it. So, we're just asking council's blessing to continue and apply for the grant to try to, bridge that gap we need to, get that structure in place and move forward on our, what I'm referring to as our recreation revitalization.
We're gonna make an application for 134,
134.4.
okay, so you're asking us to put in a little bit more than the 5,800?
Nope, we've got 50,000 from the community foundation, 5,800 from the haunted house, and then it was my suggestion that the village match the haunted house amount.
Okay, but that's only 61.6,
Right.
and you're applying for 134.4, am I adding it wrong in my head? Isn't that just 122? Isn't it 61 and 61, 122?
I get 134,400,
You do?
yeah.
Like, two of those?
No, you, that's your total there, that's what we're taking out of there. Okay, and if you take it
Yeah.
away from that, you get that.
And you add it on to here, it comes up to this.
You're taking,
Oh, we're asking for this much?
yes,
Got it, got it. Read it wrong.
Does that make sense?
Any further questions? Any further comments? Is there a motion to accept resolution 19-3
So moved,
to support the submission?
Chris made the motion,
so moved. I'm not reading it.
Support?
I'll support it.
A roll call?
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Corner,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley.
Yes.
Resolution 19-3 has been passed. Can we have that done next week?
The money too.
Might, that's my bet.
We're gonna try
I
it.
care about paperwork. Okay. Next item is a request for funding from the MDOT for resolution 19-6.
Yeah, so this, as you read in the review magazine, there's a new program out for communities under 10,000. It's the Michigan Department of Transportation, I think it's called the Transportation Economic Development Fund, and this is Category B program. And basically, it's a 50% match up to $250,000. And we thought this would be a good idea to start our pot of money for the streetscape project that we've talked about. And we're working with Spicer right now. They're coming up with the plans, and they're going to help us apply for this grant and help us get this money. So the first step is to get the resolution in place, getting permission to approach MDOT for the money. And so we've laid out what we want to do. We're hoping to get the full $250,000 for the project. There are some things in the project that this wouldn't pay for, so it'll be a little more than, it'll be less than 50% of the total project, but of the street itself, we expect it to be about half of the cost, so.
But it says streetscape, doesn't that mean the decorations around it?
Well, we're referring to the whole project as a streetscape, but this project, this program doesn't pay for.
Category B doesn't pay for it.
Yeah, Category B doesn't pay.
So if we wanted to, we could go for matching funds to pave any street.
We could. Yep, we could. But the reason we chose this one is because the streetscape is gonna be a little
Well,
more
the
expensive.
DDA has the matching money.
Yeah, the DDA will pull together, we'll have to pull it from other places, cause I think they're running into an expensive project right now, so. As they're engineering it and putting the estimates together, they're thinking close to $1 million, so.
Are they looking at
Wow.
sidewalks and lighting and
They're
everything?
looking at everything together, you know, as per the direction of the council. So,
Well, we could say that if it's that much, we could look at it again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And this would be for next year's money too, because we don't have enough information together to apply for 2019, so we're expecting the 2020.
Okay, and, you can do part of it and then the rest of it later too, can you?
Yeah, I think what we would do is, and I was hoping John would be here, but we'll do what is eligible under Category B, and then we'd have to find the matching funds for the rest of the streetscape.
Well, they need to stop spending for a while and save.
Mm-hmm.
They've got almost 300,000, but, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, adopt resolution 19-6.
Support?
I'll support.
Roll call?
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Corner,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
McPhail,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley.
Yes.
Motion, or resolution carried. Number 19-6. All right. Item G. To accept the $50,000 grant from the Saginaw Community Foundation, resolution 19-7.
Yeah, we've been working to get grant money for the Coal Miners Park Universal Play Initiative, which is the universal accessible park equipment that we're trying to put in the park. And this is our first kind of win in terms of fundraising. We applied to the Saginaw Community Foundation, and they awarded $50,000 towards the project, which is really great. It's about 25% of what we need, but it's a primer to get other funding lined up. So it's a really good sign that they've kind of acknowledged that we have the need, and they believe the project is a worthy one. So we're excited, and we're just asking that the village accept the money so that we can start basically marketing it and applying for other money, including the grant from the DNR that the council already approved tonight. So.
Any questions?
This 50,000 and this 50,000 are not the same?
They are the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
I just think it's kinda goofy that we have to have a resolution to accept a donation, you know, I just, come on.
Is it a
Do you hear a resolution to accept
Well,
resolution 19-7?
So moved, but they do it because then they've got it in writing that if we can't match it, we can't have it.
Right, yeah.
I'll second it if nobody else
I
will.
haven't had a motion yet, did we?
Yeah,
I did.
yours
Oh.
did.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Sarah Tiley, absent. Coots,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes,
McPhail,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley.
Yes,
Resolution 19-7 has been passed. Now, the edit item,
Yes.
Saginaw Police Department Emergency Services Team Mutual Aid Agreement.
Yes. We received this earlier this week, which is why it was a late addition, but it has a tight turnaround because they want to have their council approve it next week, I think. Basically, this isn't your traditional mutual aid agreement. This is the when things go really, really bad agreement. The past practice has been kind of a handshake thing. I think the county-wide emergency services team is housed at the Saginaw Police Department. So if anything would have happened county-wide, this is the team that would go out as the SWAT team. And so if we have anything in St. Charles that happens that's really, really bad, and our officers and the other patrol units can't take care of it, we have to call in the SWAT team. They're requiring us to have this in place in order for the Saginaw PD SWAT team to respond. So they won't respond unless we have this in place. And the other option we would have is to call the state police, and who knows where they are. I mean, they may be coming from Lansing if something bad were to happen.
Is
This-
oh, go ahead.
This isn't so much that we're going to be sending our officers to Saginaw.
Not so much, no. They wouldn't need
It'd
us.
be a real rare, big deal.
Yeah, I mean, if there was
Right.
an active shooter situation, generally what'll happen is they will send every car that's possibly available in the county to it. This is a situation where if in St. Charles we have a barricaded gunman, or there's God forbid, there's a school shooting or something to that effect, their EST team will deploy here, and we won't have to fumble around trying to find someone else.
Is the city of Saginaw the only one that has this team?
I believe
Or
so.
is it a county team?
It's a county team. They use the Saginaw PD building to start
Okay.
their stuff, and there's officers from pretty much every agency in the county. But mostly Saginaw Township, Saginaw, the county, I think Frankenmuth got a guy on there.
So then why is the agreement with the city then?
I guess they need this, done formally now. Before it was always just if you ever call it, if you ever need us, call us.
Well, there's a lot of hold harmless stuff and things like that,
Right,
I th-
Yeah.
I
which
think
is fine, I mean, that's,
that's right.
Yeah.
because ours are insured, our guys are insured too. But,
It basically says that when you call them and something happens, each department's responsible for their own people, but will come, kind of.
okay, now, these people are not just sitting down there waiting to be called,
No.
okay,
They're on duty, or if they're off duty, they get a page,
and they come,
but the on-duty people will come out immediately
okay.
and kind of assess
But
it.
they're doing other stuff too, I mean, they're not just
Yeah,
sitting
they're,
there
they're,
waiting,
they're patrol officers and.
but they're on a SWAT
They
team,
might be detectives,
okay.
yeah.
They're more technically trained.
the language is reciprocal here, and it does say that, you know, basically, I mean, I don't think we have enough people to take somebody off duty here and send it to Saginaw, that's
No,
a big
that would
concern.
we would never go to Saginaw unless something happened so bad in the city. I've only heard of it happening once when there was a big fight on the island on 4th of July, and cops from all over the county came, but that was years.
Actually, I remember
Back
that.
during the riots, they did
I
it too.
remember
It was years ago. Maybe something like a school shooting or something, we would all go, but there's not, I can't think of a other circumstance that St. Charles would go to this.
But we would have gone anyway in a
Yeah,
situation
yeah, we would
like
go.
that.
Everybody that's on duty in a police car is gonna go for something like that, or an officer shot or something like that.
Yeah.
Unmarked cars.
Well, we go to Chesaning, we go to,
I know, I just look for downsides, I hate for us to get into agreements with the cities, you know what I mean? And I don't know what do you see any downsides?
No, whatever reservations we might have about it, we kinda have to sign it, because if we need the SWAT team, we're gonna need the SWAT team.
Yeah.
It would be a school shooting thing, that's automatic, that happens automatic. We just had training for that, everybody's trained countywide for that, but if there was a barricaded gunman, hostage situation at the bar, anything like that, it was just beyond the capacity of what the officers have in the cars and the training to deal with. They also comes with a negotiator and phones that they toss into the
trained
building.
people.
Yeah, trained people.
See, I don't see a problem with this. And I'll tell you, the city of Saginaw, we don't get many agreements from them, so we
But this is
don't
already-
even
this
have a
has been in
water
place.
agreement with them.
This is
This is nothing
basically,
new except in regular, right?
solidifying what has already been a standard practice. Yeah.
This is,
Right.
this is probably coming out through the sheriff department anyway.
Why at this point, I just don't understand them, why are they changing it? That's
Because of
that's my
liability.
It's a
concern.
liability.
Some lawyer
Liability.
told them they did this, we
Yeah,
don't
lawyers got
know that's
involved
what it
in it.
is.
Yeah.
Any further
I'm
questions
sure-
on
You know
this?
that's what it is,
I'm
they
sure.
went over their records and they said, you guys can't do it this way.
Any further questions on this one? So I assume we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adopt.
Support?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll
Opposed?
vote yes, because I think we have to have it, but I just, I need to hang on to my reservations here, okay?
So everybody voted yes.
Hmm?
Everybody voted yes.
No.
Motion's carried.
I'll sign it and
Yeah,
send it back.
just had to make
I was
my
just
comment.
waiting for her,
I just,
for Diane to double it up. Okay. Where are we at? Lost my menu. I lost my menu. Departmental reports, DPW report, can we have one in person?
I could read it, but it's all in front of you, so there's.
Oh, okay.
What are the, new meter reading, that you're talking about? The radios?
You upgrade all your software and hardware last year.
Yep.
And they've been replacing the meters anyway.
Yep.
And we already have the radio read capabilities, but we do not have the antennas for the meters.
So you still have to get out and,
They still have to be physically
I didn't realize
touched,
that.
yeah.
you had to physically go to
You
every
have to
one.
physically read those meters.
And how much are those?
I think the antenna was $138.
And how many we need? We don't have to buy them all at once,
No.
right?
No, the plan is to do a pilot project on a couple of the, like, grouped neighborhoods, like Woodlawn, Sunview, and then, like, the ones that are outside of town, like, Oak Ridge and the other two that are out there.
Right.
And we'll do those as pilots to see if they work the way they tell us they work, and if it works for us, and then we'll reevaluate and talk about doing everything else. But really, what we wanna try to get out of is having to dig out the meters in the Crocs, cause over the last couple of months, they've piled up and froze, and our guys have had to go out there with shovels and try to get to them, cause you can't read them when there's 2 feet of snow on top of them, so that's caused a problem. And the most recent water billing cycle was actually a couple weeks late.
Right.
Because of that.
Those things will actually transmit out of the crock?
Yep, he said the ice and water does not bother the antennas.
Which one of the guys goes around and changes the battery and all that?
Well, the battery it's a 20-year battery, and I think it's the first 17 years are full replacement value, and the last 3 are prorated if the battery dies. But they only transmit when they're woken up. They don't constantly
Is
transmit.
that on all the
In
time?
other words, tippy-toe over your water
No, it's only
main.
when you get within, I think, a block or 2 of it with this little box that you drive around with, that it actually wakes it up, it sends a signal, I think, and then it'll send one, and then it won't send another one until 30 minutes if needed.
So
it's
you're
not-
talking possibly like this, your days of time saved.
Possibly.
Well, in this condition,
Yeah.
it would have saved us probably a week.
I mean,
Because
it's
we
nothing
got
but
that-
chiseling ice this
We
year.
got that 4 inches of snow, then we got a
Yeah.
1/2 inch of rain, then it froze solid.
Mhm.
You probably seen it in your yard, you had that coating ice.
Is there anything in place to get these going now, or do
Well-
you need something from us?
Well, we're just kind of running it past you, because we have money budgeted for a meter replacement program already.
Mhm.
They're similar in price to the meters, and we have a backlog stock of meters already. What we were thinking about doing is, instead of buying next year's meters, we're gonna buy antennas with the money we already have budgeted, and do that little pilot program and see what it does.
I think in labor alone, it's gonna be worth it.
Okay, yeah, when would you be putting the antennas on, and how long would you need for your program to tell you how they're gonna
Well,
work?
we're gonna see it, you have to, like I said, we'd probably do a subdivision and see how long, cause, I mean, the install's probably, it might take you a 1/2 hour a meter, cause you do have to program the antenna to communicate with the meter.
And then it's just a slow drive when you're going by, or can you just?
Well, actually, they can walk it too.
Yeah.
I think he said, what, a couple blocks, man, it would
Yeah,
pick it
a
up.
couple blocks, it'll start picking the radio signals
If you have
up.
a straight line, no. not
So if you
really.
drive down the
God,
middle
it's
of
been-
Woodlawn,
Verizon does with their tower.
so if you drive, say
Yeah,
you,
but-
you have these in place, you drive down the middle of Woodlawn, by the time you get halfway up the street, you probably got all of Woodlawn and Sunview.
You would drive it, and then they would download what they have, and then it'll show you if there was any, it didn't
Any
communicate with.
changes, yeah.
And then we would download the ones that radio read, and then go out and reread the ones that weren't radio reads, which will be all the home meters.
Right, right.
So we're looking at the pits mainly is what we wanna work on.
So Tuquet, you would start doing it this year?
We would start within a month or so. We'd try to get at least one subdivision done before the next reading cycle, so we know if it's as advertised, I guess.
And it says it would not be in addition to the
No.
budget.
No, we have money budgeted for, the meter replacement
Right.
already. And we've been buying 100 a year, but we haven't been able to put that many in, so we have a backlog stock that we're still putting in as we can, but they haven't been able to do it as fast as we thought, so we've got a backlog stock of meters, so we figure we could use the money we have left over that we don't plan to buy meters with, to just buy some antennas and.
What
and
you're
try
saying,
this
well,
out.
some of the meters are already out there.
And we have everything
All
we
the
need.
meters are there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're already installed in the houses?
Yeah.
Most of them, yeah.
That's
Well,
what the new
meter
ones were.
pits, they were concentrating on the meter pits.
Okay.
And we would, those are the ones we're gonna concentrate on with antennas, cause they're the most difficult and time consuming, cause I don't know if you ever, most yards are not flush, they're down low and of
We
course.
have to take the sod off now.
Right, and there might be a little hole peeking up where the touch reads at, you know.
Are
like-
some meters in the basement?
Yeah,
Mine
there's,
are.
yeah, I
Mine
think
is.
we
I think
figured,
mine
yeah, there's.
So you
there's
need to
probably,
get in
I
a
think,
person's
about
house.
four- I would guess 40% are meter pits, I guess.
Well, the antenna goes on the head outside, don't it?
No, well, yeah, we go on the pit, actually, it's underneath
Well,
inside.
I'm talking about the ones in the basement. We've got
You can,
a wire that comes out and goes up to
you
the.
can,
the
on the
reed.
existing ones, you can retrofit the antenna to the outside of the house. On a new install, you can put the antenna in the house and you don't even need to run a pad outside.
Okay.
Oh,
So if we even put a new meter in a house, we don't have to go in to add the
yeah, I
antenna.
understand. Okay.
We just, the programming is the most time consuming. 'Cause they
Won't have to have that ugly looking thing on the side of your house. so.
Well, and the worst thing you have to do is if you have to estimate somebody's reading, because you can't get a reading off of it. You gotta go low, and then the next time, because they use more water, they get this horrendous bill, and
Yeah, the computer goes
it's
by.
nasty.
The computer estimates on like a linear average of your history. So if you had a break 5 cycles ago and you had an exorbitant bill, it's gonna calculate that in, so you might be paying more than you should or less than you should, and then the next bill comes and you gotta make up the difference. So this way, it's a way easier. We'll just try to avoid estimation altogether if we can.
I don't have a
Sounds
problem
good.
with it. I
Yeah.
think it's fine.
I think it's a good idea. You need
Any other
anything from
questions
us?
on the DPW report?
If you guys wanna make a motion to allow us to test it out, that would
Do
be
you have
helpful.
a cost that you're gonna be using, or?
It's $138 per, and we don't have a count, I don't think, on
No.
the ones we do.
Well, we were gonna.
Then you're thinking about the subdivision?
Right, I think our current budget would allow us to buy, what, 88, Matt, or something like that, we figured, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think we have $10,000 budgeted.
So we'll buy 80-some.
I'll make a motion for the trial, yeah.
No, second.
Support?
Aye.
Support?
Aye.
We got one down here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed to start installing the meter at Evanston.
Thank you.
Sounds fine.
There was mop heads in there.
I don't know if they're
Maple
mop
Street?
heads or not, they look some kind of cotton rag to me, I'm not sure what they are. We had it, within, pulled one batch out one day and 2 days later there was more in there, so I don't know, that's,
That's sad.
yeah.
Miss Maple.
They said when they cameraed and did the whole suit system, they never seen anything at that point, so it's, I don't know. When we ever update our lift station, I guess we'll put grinder pumps in it, so that's what we'll do, but, no, it's been fine since the second batch has been built, but,
The brush pile that you were burning, I was gonna ask, do you ever contact these guys that do the commercial wood cutting or anything? Come in and get those logs out? Is there anything in there worth?
Not really, I think it's
it,
all.
it,
I just seen it was a big pile
yeah,
when I was
well,
back
and
there.
there's a lot of dirt and debris in there too.
Yeah.
So this time you wouldn't know, they wouldn't have done anything with it. And there was probably 3-foot dirt pile when
Oh,
it
yeah.
was done. We're cleaning that up right now, we're gonna try to end up with a level space to start new and keep the dirt out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Last year was an overly abundant year for wood because all of the trees that were in that parcel where we put the road through, they stacked them up there, so that
Yeah.
was from all that. So hopefully we won't have such a large pile.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because it was huge. I mean, that was a lot of wood.
And I think if we can keep it clean, it'll burn a lot better. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of debris mixed in with it this year, and dirt doesn't burn very well, so.
No.
But, we're trying to get that cleaned up as best we can. We got about halfway done before the thawed too much stuff, so it's day by day this kind of weather, so we're probably shut it down for a week now, so.
Any other questions? Spicer, I assume you've been waiting.
Oh, hi.
I'm Neil Nowak. I'm Neil Nowak with the Spicer Group, and you have a copy of our engineering report in front of you. Do you have any questions on it? Main hitter is on the wastewater asset management plan. We'd like to schedule a special meeting for, I think we talked to John Kaiser with the municipal analytics and a couple dates for later this month, the 21, 22, or 25th, or 26th.
I won't be available on the 26th, that one I know for sure. I don't know about anybody else any days.
You're looking at the DPW?
No, we're looking at, here, the dates for them
Oh,
to come
wastewater.
explain their asset management plan to us.
Oh, a second meeting in March?
Mhm.
In what time?
That one, I think we figured would be probably later in the day.
Well, all of the meetings would be later in the day or just on the 26th?
It would just be one meeting at either one of
Those
those
are the days
days.
they have available.
Right, but you're talking about all the dates would be later in the day, right?
Yes,
At
yeah.
like what time?
That would probably, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it'd probably be later in the day, like 5 or 6 possibly.
I think the last one was 5 o'clock. 5:30, something like
I
that?
think so. It was right at the end of the workday.
Yeah.
How's that gonna work for you, Jim, for your work?
That's, I'm looking, it's, what, 21st, 22nd?
Those are, yep, possible dates.
And Bay City and Midland until 5 o'clock on those days.
Okay.
But if I get done early, then, I mean, just shoot straight here. But I can be back in town, takes about a half hour, 45 minutes to get to town, so, yeah.
Does anybody know about Sarah's schedule?
She's, as long as she knows, she said she can change it.
I don't know. I assume it changes a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Thursday,
Mhm.
Friday.
She does, yeah.
So the 21st is Thursday, 22nd is a Friday, Friday. 25th is a Monday, 26th.
25th, I don't have anything right now.
Yeah, 26th I'm gone, so, for the day.
So the 25th work good for you?
25th is good for any time.
How
yeah.
about everybody else? 25th?
Can do it on the 25th.
Sound good?
Is that okay with you, Neil? That's a Monday.
Yes, yep.
Will you send us a notice about this official?
Absolutely.
And what time are you thinking, 6?
5:30?
5:30? That works.
Yep, that would I would have to probably check with John. Is that able to be?
Yep, yeah,
And
that's out there, so I can throw that on the
We'll
calendar.
get back
so
to
that's
you
not a
as
problem.
soon as I talk to him. So.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll tentatively set it for 5:30, but council will have to set it. They can't willy-nilly, because we'll have to notice it, and it'll be a public meeting, but
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah,
just
the
be
Monday.
listening.
The 20th.
Okay.
So if John can make it work, we gotta kinda do it now.
So we're gonna set it at 5:30
I
on
think-
the 25th?
Yeah, you have to set
Alright.
it for a time and date,
Okay.
so hopefully it works.
Yeah.
And that'll be here.
Correct.
You have a time projection for how long it will take?
The last one, I believe, was a couple hours at least. This one will probably be a little shorter, probably around an hour, hour and a half, I can imagine.
Yeah, since they've gone through it a couple times, they've worked out the kinks, so they
Mhm.
should have it down.
Are you serving dinner?
If you want.
Oh,
I
come
can-
on.
I will.
Yeah.
I can bring
Oh, you
Subway.
never eat.
You cooking or
Yeah,
grilling?
Subway.
Do we need to do a motion on that, or what do we need to do?
It would, yeah,
It's a special
probably to
meeting,
make
right?
it
Yes.
legal, yeah.
Okay,
For council.
I'll make a motion that we have a special meeting for Spicer on March 25th of this year at 5:30 PM.
Support?
Support?
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Anything else?
Yep. I don't believe so. You guys have already touched on the downtown streetscape improvements resolution, so might be grilling weather by that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you for coming.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions on any of the other reports? You got anything you wanna report, John? No? Other than what's here?
I had just a little something, I mentioned it to Matt.
Mhm.
I saw where you saved a cat,
Yeah.
but there were 2 people on duty again, and I asked him, how often are we overlapping?
It's just on Tuesday, Wednesday, and that's gonna change next week.
Okay, that's what he said, so,
It's actually getting a lot better we're gonna have way more coverage than normal, starting next week.
okay.
Yeah. What'd you say, how many days of it is it gonna be, John, with the new
I should do 5 days.
So we'll have 5 days of 24-hour coverage.
So we don't need like a police committee meeting or anything like that?
If you want to have a committee meeting, we could, but,
Not really.
no. But, yeah.
Building inspector and no code enforcement. Just,
So
if anybody's got any questions on the other 2 reports, Matt may have an answer.
I might.
If not, we're back to the public comment again. Mr. Coots, take up the microphone, please.
You can have it from
No, come on up, we wanna make sure that they get it on the recording.
Two things. One, are the street lights in the industrial park all done?
They're not done yet. They ordered them in 2 separate shipments. So the first part is in and installed, and I guess they're waiting for the second one. Consumers Energy is
Okay,
waiting for
because
them.
I was there a couple of weeks ago, and there was, I think, 3 lights down by the new fire.
Yes.
They were in there, but they were
weren't.
not.
Yep.
Okay.
I think they're on the new circuit. It's not
The other
finished.
thing is the mosquito control, a little bit tired in on this, that's why I want to step outside. Years ago, when the mosquito thing would go down the street, they had the nozzle shooting off to the side, like in the yards. They would go down slow and come back, and they were shooting in the yards on the other side. Now, they got it pointing at the moon, and they go about 15 miles an hour down the road. If the wind's blowing, and there's a bad wind and going down and coming back, it's going one way. There's no direction for it whatsoever. If the wind ain't blowing, it's landing in the street. I don't think the mosquitoes breed in the street. I've talked to them before, they'll come down our street, they'll spend 20 minutes in the yard across from me, and spend 5 minutes to run down and go back the street. Sometimes they don't even go down the end. They go as far as the yard across from me, spend 20 minutes around this house in the backyard, out the woods, come back, shut the thing off, and away they go. Now, we're paying taxes for this, so if this is all they're gonna do, this kind of crap, then I can't see why we should be paying taxes for mosquito control. There's no reason. They said they can't control that nozzle, it's fixed. I've got a pipe wrench and a 3-pound sledge. I can fix it. Shoot it off to the side, if it's fixed, fix it to the side. And don't do no good in the air. I think we need to mention something about this on the sidewalk.
I can address part of that right now.
All right,
and
step
get it
right up.
recorded.
You got your foot in it now.
Yeah, so actually I had the privilege of last fall going out in mosquito control and riding around in one of their trucks just to get a better idea as to what they do. And they have 2 different kinds of sprays, and don't ask me to get to the specifics. They still do have trucks that will spray into the ditches. That is one certain spray, and then I believe that would be the, I'm gonna get this all wrong, so I'm not.
It doesn't have to be in the ditch, every place should have a ditch. But when they spray it low and direct it at the yard, off the side of the road, then even if the wind is blowing, it's still spreading out in the yards, not in the air.
Yes, and the one that goes in the air is a different type of spray. And again, I can't tell you the difference to them, and I know even when I went out, we had to postpone 3 different times, I believe, because the wind was too much. It was like greater than that of 15 miles an hour. So, and as far as when they drive out and why they might hit some areas versus others, a lot of it comes to anymore, say your neighbor has an issue with the spray, or somebody might have bees, and they will have to call mosquito control and say, you know, we have bees, we don't want the spray, or various reasons. And so mosquito control will actually go out, and you might see, and it's kind of interesting, some of the driveways or property lines might have like a yellow metal reflective plate out, or some might have the yellow with the red horizontal lines across, indicate different things. And based on kind of the wind environment, they may stop right before they get to that property. They might shut the sprayers off, you know, a few hundred feet down the property line. Just kind of give you an idea, so I've had that issue, people call me before as to why why they may spray one night this far, why they may not spray over here. So God forbid anybody lives next to somebody who doesn't want their property sprayed, you may not get the benefit of spray. And like I said, I can't get into the details because I don't know about which one goes directly into the ditch when they can spray it. And that one you'll generally see an individual sitting in the back of the truck with kind of the nozzle aiming down into the ditches. The other ones are just controlled from inside the cab that are just shooting out behind.
That's usually shooting out behind. And then going difference except in the road.
Not too many mosquitoes on that asphalt, eh?
Yeah, I can't get into it too much because I don't know all of it, but I guess it's a very fine spray. I was very impressed with the number. It was, ounces. One truck only uses, maybe 12 ounces of spray a night. It's that minute of amount that's actually sprayed out that they don't use that much each given truck. And what's bad out here, and I didn't realize this, is Gratiot County doesn't spray for mosquitoes. Shiawassee County doesn't spray for mosquitoes. We have the wildlife refuge that can't get hit very hard. So out in southwest Saginaw County, we have the disadvantage of we have the most wetlands, and yet we have two neighboring counties that don't control for it. And a mosquito doesn't know boundaries. They're gonna lay their larvae wherever, and then we're gonna get infested with them.
But last year it was awful, and I think we could all
Yeah.
attest to that, it was awful last year. You couldn't even walk outside your house.
No.
You had to run to get in the car and
Absolutely.
SWAT, it was bad.
Absolutely. My parents live over in Maple Grove, and they stopped over one night, and I told them, so you might want to shut your car windows. My father thought I was joking. Maple Grove, they weren't that bad. Here in the village, they were terrible. He went in and they shut, they sucked through it all the way home. But yeah, no, and actually, mosquito control operated for a couple weeks longer last year than they normally would because of the rainy, warm seasons that we had kind of going late into the fall. So last year was a bad year, and God forbid we have another one.
Yeah, I find they don't spray coming down the street. They go to the end, turn around and spray going out of the street.
It's
Okay.
not effective here.
Yeah,
It's not.
they don't spray both ways.
It's not-
But I do smell it in my house, so it is moving.
But
Sure.
it's not effective, let's put it that way, it's not really doing what it's supposed to do.
Sure, no, and some of the spray is supposed to get in the water and it sits on and it creates like a film over top of, so that way any larva in the water can't get air and breathe. And other is just more or less to kind of get out and disseminate over, and it doesn't suffocate them, it just kind of affects their ability to get up and get around. But then you get fresh rain comes through and that spray becomes ineffective.
Okay, I got another question to go with that. Does anybody investigate these mosquitoes whatsoever? I live up north, I got a place up north, a block from the water, from the lake, right across the street from a swamp. They don't spray for nothing up there, and there's no mosquitoes. How come? Mosquitoes like swamp. Mosquitoes like clear water. They like all kinds of stuff like that. Here you have them, whether there's any water there or not. Up there, you don't have them anytime.
I have no idea what it would be.
I just think nobody's studying what they've got here. They just, hey, we got mosquitoes up here, let's use it, that's it. They run up and down the street, go out a couple miles at a time and sleep in the truck for a while, and then you're gone, the job's done.
Okay.
I
Okay, yeah.
think we need some investigation of what the hell is going on with these mosquitoes, why we continue to have them and more each year.
Okay.
The mosquito, abatement thing goes up every year, and just about every year, so the mosquito.
Sure.
I'd like to take a couple of them guys and bring them out, tie them to a tree, lay them something for about an hour and see whether we have any mosquitoes or not.
Sure. No,
You'd
you
have to
know,
carry them back in, Kenny.
They'd be depleted of blood.
and that might be something, even if the village, offered to come out, and I could even, if you guys wanted, ask for mosquito control, someone to come out here and talk to you guys about that, because it is gonna be an issue out here as we get into the warmer months.
Just explain to them that we're exceedingly unhappy out there.
They know it. They know it. When I call them to pass along complaints, they tell me. This area is one of the bigger areas for complaints because it is the most wetland. And again, you got 2 neighboring counties who don't spray for mosquitoes.
I think there's actually somebody who works in the office over there who lives out here who definitely gets it.
There may be,
I think so.
you know, so, yeah.
10
We're gonna let
years
you keep,
ago,
put that in your hands.
What's that?
We're gonna put that in your hands.
What's that? Inviting them out?
Getting somebody interested in the area.
I'll bring someone out here, see if we can't get someone to come out and talk to you guys. At least give you guys a bit of an education too, because it's very, very insightful. I didn't.
Second Tuesday?
Wednesday.
No.
Second Wednesday.
Wednesdays, yeah. I just saw that post on Facebook today, so.
Second
There'll be
Wednesday.
more of us
I
there.
can't keep track of what day it is.
No.
30 years ago, they were really bad around here. They started spraying. Each year it got a little better and better and better and better. 10 years ago, they wasn't bad at all. They wasn't
Okay.
hardly any mosquitoes. Now it's going the other way again, because they're changing the mosquito spray, they're changing the way they're doing it, and it's not working.
Oh, you know, a lot of that's been really regulated too. I know everything's gotta be reported. What's that?
Then regulate the mosquitoes. Tell them what time and where they can fly. They don't care.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
I don't care what they say in Lansing,
Mr.
or
President,
what they do.
Yes.
I think Don actually has, in addition to his report, he wanted to mention.
Okay,
Thank you, Gus.
yes, Don.
We had talked about our cross-control connection program before for the backflow, and we did have a gentleman give us a bid to do the inspections and do the reporting of the DEQ. And I'd be interested, if we'd be interested in hire, I think we talked about a DPW committee report, actually.
Yeah.
I think the total cost was $1,500 for a year for him to do
Yeah.
all the inspections and the reporting.
He's got a report coming up that he wants to put on there that we have a plan, because we haven't had much action in the last few years. So in order to avoid kind of getting in trouble, we want to say that we have somebody lined up. So I guess what we're asking is, can we go ahead with the program? We haven't been able to find anybody to do it for any less than $1,500. Spicer, we asked Spicer, they said they wouldn't even bid because it would be way higher, so.
And this is part of what we talked about, the proactive, because
Yeah.
we're gonna get in trouble for this, right?
Yeah, we
The
have to.
reports weren't done the way that they were,
Voted on it.
Yeah, I can't vouch for what was done in the
Right.
past, but.
but we need to
The
do it
report's
right.
due March 31st, and I
Yeah.
gotta tell them either
Maybe we didn't have.
what our
open
plans
enrollment.
are to do it.
I think we've gotta do it one way or another.
Didn't
Well,
we
it has
talk
to be
about
done
this
one
way.
before,
Yeah.
though? Didn't we approve it? We
No.
approved it,
I
didn't we?
didn't remember
I
that.
don't remember approving the specific.
I don't think they
percent.
had the, I don't think they had the $1,500 figure.
I
We
think because it
don't
was
have
low.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
discussed it, but I don't think we approved
I
it.
think we talked about it at the DPW, committee
Yeah.
meeting.
Oh,
I
maybe
don't
that's
think-
why, because I thought,
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it was at a regular meeting.
But we have one company that has given us a really low price because they do it in a bunch of different places, and nobody else has been able to match it, so.
They do the village of Chestnings, and they do a few surrounding communities also.
1,500 a year?
Yeah,
Here, yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think,
That's fine.
yeah.
so we wanna make sure we have him in line for Don's report, and then he actually is gonna do the inspection program, pretty quick,
Right, he likes
pretty
to
much
do it in the
immediately
spring.
after the beginning of the year.
Do I
April
need a
1st.
motion for
Do we,
that?
does that keep us within our
Or is
budget?
it in the
Thanks.
Oh,
budget?
yeah, it's in the budget for next year.
Right,
Then we just
okay.
passed it.
Okay.
Then, okay.
I think we have a motion.
If you wanted to make a motion to do it, what's the name of the company?
Great Lakes Municipal Services.
That would be helpful.
I make a motion, we have Great Lakes Municipal Service do this for us.
I'll second.
1,500.
Yep, $1,500.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Maybe. Our burned out houses, I know a couple of people have asked, is there any progress? We have talked about it, but I think we ought to let everybody know.
Yeah, the most recent one, they're working through insurance issues, and Rob Kehoe's working with them on that. And the one from
Clark House.
the one from before, he actually did work on the outside of the property to kind of buy himself some time, but he was trying to figure out what to do on the inside, and Rob Kehoe is keeping up with him, and he's got it's an insurance thing, apparently, with him as well, so, as long as they're working with Rob Kehoe, we'll keep on top of them, but,
And there's been project on the cleanup of the places with the junk, right?
Yes, yep, we're working on those, we've got a lot, we actually, there's nothing for this month on the report, but next month you'll see like 35 junk car letters that we just sent out. We got a report from the police department, and Rob Kehoe sent out letters. Basically, we did a sweep, and we'll see what happens with all those, and then we'll go back and whittle them down, kind of one by one, so we got a lot of stuff going on that end, yep.
And if nobody has anything else?
I just question, Act 51 money,
Yeah.
the governor's possibly changing how that's gonna be.
Yeah, I have no information on that.
Yeah,
I
I've
know
read that the rural communities have gathered together, and,
I haven't heard anything on it yet,
cause it could take a lot of money away from all of us. Yeah.
possibly. The statutory stuff, yes, we'll still get our constitutional allocation, cause obviously it's in the Constitution, but we're definitely paying attention, and the Michigan Municipal League is watching it, and, we certainly are.
Have you heard anything on that, Kyle? Not that I want you to sit down at all, but have you heard anything on that?
I have not
All right.
through PA 51, no,
Alright,
but that's not to say it's not happening.
okay.
Yeah, they haven't changed Public Act 51 yet, it's just a budget proposal, I think.
Right. Yeah, I know that a lot of the municipal leaders have already gathered together and kind of formed a protest, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not, I mean, we were just starting to see some increases in that.
It would take-
It would
yeah.
take us back to the drawing board.
Yeah, it takes like 5 years backwards, yeah, is what it said.
I would say the only benefit that we might see out of it, and it's not really even a benefit, it's just the fact that we've taken decent care of the roads here, and we have an M road that goes through our community, so that would probably be a primary funding status, although it doesn't seem to be too bad, so,
Alright,
yeah. I'll definitely look into it and maybe bring, some information back to you guys.
And if that be all, do I
I'll
hear a
make a
motion to
we
adjourn? Support?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. See